We are doing a portfolio review, live reviews with some community members who have submitted their portfolios, but we can also take some live submissions as well. So if you would like your portfolio reviewed, feel free to drop your URL in the chat and we'll see if we can pull someone at the end to give some feedback to you as well. I am Sabrina Gonzalez. I am one of the bootcamp pros on Devlin's team. You may have seen me on the YouTube channel or in the Devlin Peck community, or even on LinkedIn. So I'm going to let the rest of the team introduce themselves. So Scott, go ahead.
Sure. Hello, I am Scott Schmidt, also one of the boot camp pros. I have been a little more active in the YouTube channel as well, so you may have seen some of mine. I've done a couple of portfolio things lately, so this is in line with that. So, yeah, looking forward to looking at some other great portfolios today. I will pass it off to Sean.
Hey everyone, it's so exciting to see everyone in the chat showing where they're from. It's always really exciting to me. My name is Sean Porter. I've been a bootcamp pro on Devlin Peck's team since around January of this year. And I love interacting with the community, working with the teams here, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts on some of these portfolios today. And I'm going to pass it on to Robbie.
Hi, everybody. Robbie Christian from Miami, Florida, down here. I've been working with Devlin for a few years now, and I have reviewed a whole bunch of portfolios. I built my own portfolio as part of the ID bootcamp a few years ago, and that sort of created a whole freelance job and career for me that I have been successfully doing ever since. And I've been helping a bunch of people with their portfolios and their journeys into ID. So I'm really excited to see the crowd and see all these great portfolios coming through, whether you've just started or whether it's something you've had for a long time. All right, Kristen, over to you.
Thanks, Robbie. Hi, I'm Kristen Dominguez. I also went to the boot camp and love helping others as part of being a boot camp pro. Robbie was actually one of the one that helped me with my portfolio, so I love being able to carry that on to others. I joined the team early in February, so you may have seen me on some of the YouTube channels. And additionally, I've been working in corporate settings as well, so it's been really cool to kind of tie my portfolio to that. And I'm really excited to look at others' portfolios and give feedback on that as well.
Awesome. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And thank you all to the people who are putting their URLs in the chat and those who submitted in the form earlier on before the session started. It can be really scary to put yourself out there and show your work on display, but the portfolio is such a big part of this whole process, and it's definitely something you should be proud of. So thank you so much for submitting those. And let's go ahead and get started with our first one. First up, we have a portfolio from Bethany, and I'll put her URL in the chat. So if you want to look at it on your own also, but I'm going to hand things over to one of our bootcamp pros to start the review. So
I'm happy to start things off first. Hopefully, everybody can see my screen here. We have this is Bethany's beautiful portfolio website that we get to see here, and we have already been looking through some of these portfolios. So I'm just going to jump over to the um, the featured project. So as we're scrolling through, we're going to hit. Maybe you're only interested in visual mockups, but you get a great visual of these other pieces. And so Bethany's done a great showcase of really solid visuals through here. I would love to see as I'm scrolling this great hover animation comes in. I would love to see it like come in a little bit faster, like as I scroll quickly, because again, this is a section that people are going to be scrolling quickly through. So I really like the hover, but if it could just come in a little bit faster, um, when it fades in, or maybe have like featured favorites not fade in, but the other text in the images also fade in, and so it can seem really intentional as we go through. Um, and then the one other thing I wanted to hit was reflections and takeaways. For those of you completing your portfolios, when we have these reflections and takeaways, we really want them to sound like you are a seasoned professional, like you've been doing this for years, because a lot of you have been doing instruction of some kind or been doing the work of an instructional designer, even if you haven't called yourself an instructional designer. And so what we want to see is with the takeaways, like what what we gathered from doing this project instead of the learning that we did as developing the course, what do we apply for the next course? What would be the next step that we would take in this course to do an evaluation or continue the ADDIE cycle to do the next analysis? Like, what are some of the next steps that we would take? It's a great way to finish because if we finish our reflections and takeaways with a sense of like, I'm just learning that, like, this is what I've learned as starting out my ID process, it sometimes could potentially show you as a little bit less experienced. And I think, Bethany, you're more experienced than this, and so we can really showcase the experience that you have. So I want to keep it brief. So let me hand it over. How about Sean? How about you take it next?
Yeah, I'm happy to tag in. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Give me just a moment. Pull that up here. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see it. Just let me know in the comments if it disappears or anything for any reason. But yeah, this is Bethany's landing page. One thing that I like to think about is like, how are you going to set yourself apart? Like when you have a hiring manager going through portfolio, what small things can you do to make yourself stand out? And one of the things that I really love about what Bethany did here is in this text right here, just a simple act of having like the little circling, the little underlining, these little note like you would see in like note taking, almost like gives this feel that she's like really focusing in on things. And these are the kind of things that she's going to focus in on and edit on whenever she's working on projects for people. I love this little just visual design choice in this text. To help people just learn circle, like developing really focuses on some actions. Personally, I love it. And I love the landing page. I love the color choices that she chose. And I think, visually, a lot of this looks really great. And as far as something I might recommend, I'm going to hop over to the projects page. One thing that I like to see going through a web page or anything visual is like a strong line going down. And one thing I would work on is really just tuning in this line right here. You see that there's this nice straight line. As we get down into further parts of the text and things, you'll see that kind of like the text shifts over to the left here to accommodate this space here. So we kind of lose that's the strength of that line visually coming down the page, and it kind of jumps back. And so one thing I would work on is just tightening this line between images and text and try to have a nice strong um, left alignment going through the page. But I'm really excited to see where this portfolio is starting, and I can't wait to see, once she's really honed everything in. That's really all I have to say about this portfolio today. So I think I'll pass this on to Kristen.
Thank you so much. Going ahead and sharing my screen right now. All right. So thank you again for sharing your portfolio with us. I really enjoyed going through it and I love the colors. I think they're really cohesive and bright, vibrant. So I love this. I want to point out something I really loved, something I thought was really unique in your write up, and that's this part here. So when you talk about your problem and solution, you talk about why it's going to be the best solution and also why other learning solutions aren't the right for this project. So that not only shows that you're making good recommendations, but you're also using, reason and you're justifying why this is the best option and giving some more information why something might not be the best option. If I were to give any tips for this, I'd say when hiring managers are looking through this, they don't have a ton of time. And so the more that you can make things as concise as possible and really get those points out there, whether that's by making things concise, bolding certain words that you want to draw attention to, but you really want to bring your attention to this. I love how you've broken them up into numbers. I think it's really easy to read. But yeah, if there were any other suggestion, I'd make it just be to make it a little bit more concise. But I love that you did this. I think it's a wonderful idea and something that you don't see all the time. And it goes to show you that you have thought a lot about it. So I love that. And then as let's see, the intro page for my recommendations. I think this is really good. Again, I love the colors. And it looks like this is still a work in progress, but for the testimonials, I would recommend having these testimonials from others that you've worked with that have seen your work and give like a quote for what their testimonial is, as well as like their name and their title of where they're coming from. I would make sure to do that. And then also, I always recommend with testimonials it's really tempting to keep super long testimonials in there, but remember that hiring managers are looking really quickly and they're trying to see those most important points. And so if you can pull out the most important part of a testimonial somebody gave you and really show like what these hiring managers are looking for, or in terms of the job that you're giving, or that you're going for, like what the main types of jobs, like whether it's a corporation or academia, you want to kind of target that with your testimonials by picking the right options. So this is really good. I love this, love the colors, and think it's a really, really cool so far. Just a couple recommendations there, but I think that this is a really good portfolio overall.
Hey, thank you, Bethany, for submitting it. It is great, and I know you're still working on it, and I think it's gonna come together really well from what we've seen so far. Thank you, pros. They're all really great tips, not just for Bethany, but that can be applied to anybody's portfolios. Next up, we have a submission from Justine Ross. I'll drop her URL in the chat, and I will hand it over to Scott.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to share my screen. Looks like I need this one right here. All right. So here we go. Justine's portfolio. I really wanted to make sure to provide some feedback on this one because there was one thing that really, really stood out for me. That was it is not easy to do this. And I think Justine did this like just masterfully. As we scroll through here, these pages are clearly set up into like sections of information like, oh, here, I want you to focus on this. Here, I want you to focus on this. But the thing that really, really struck me as I went through this is each section really has, let me go like to the port, this page right here too. Each section very much has its own look to it, but it all looks like it fits together so beautifully. I was so impressed that Justine was able to, here's kind of the write up for her project. So it's going to look similar to what we just saw, but like even on the about page, you know, each of these sections has their very own unique look to them, but they all still like look like they fit together on the same website. And that is not something that's very easy to do. So that really, really struck me visually. I think it's super engaging to have it split up into the separate sections, but each section have their own look because you're never bogged down with looking at the same thing for very long, right? As we know, when people visit web pages, they're there for maybe a few seconds before they decide to either keep looking or move on. And so that was something I thought was really, really fantastic. Um, a couple of suggestions that I had. There are some spots in here where you use, well, I say you, I don't know if Justine's here or not, but hopefully Justine is here. But Justine uses these kind of thick blue borders for these boxes. I remember there was one also on the about page here, like right here with these three things. I didn't feel like those actually kind of felt like they fit very well with the vibe of the page. These seem a little bit more constrained to me, whereas the rest of the design of the page, like I said, it's very free flowing. There are clear sections on the page, but it's not blocked off like with lines and everything. So I think I'd almost like to either see like thinner lines or maybe no lines at all and use contrast between the backgrounds of the boxes and the background of the page. I just feel like that would fits a little bit better with the vibe of everything else because then it wouldn't look as constrained as is kind of the way I would describe it. Right. And then one final piece of information since I'm here, I kind of felt like the toolkit where it's the education, skills, and tech, they don't seem like they need to be as large as they are on the page to me. It seems a little bit out, kind of I don't know what the best way to describe this is, but it just didn't seem like it fit the flow because they are so large. Honestly, I think you did something really great. Again, I'm saying you, I don't know if Justine's here, but right here. Now see this I really like. And this I think Justine could draw from with this page and the toolkit. I think you could do something similar here. I still think you could use the graphics, but I think you could keep it consistent with the look that you have here. I think that would give it a nice consistent flow, and it wouldn't take up so much of the page. I wouldn't have to scroll so far to see everything. So, but again, really, this is beautifully done. So, all right. So I think I know Kristen has a really good comment about some of the content. So I'm going to go to Kristen now.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right. So I love this. I think there's a lot of creativity in this portfolio. And I just want to start out with I love this. I love the branding at the bottom and the reach out if you'd like to put that aha in your training. I think it's someone that everyone resonates with. Like a lot of people know what that means, right? And know how powerful that aha is. And so I love that you've almost kind of brought it into your branding and um, you have like a call to action here, like reach out if you'd like to put the aha in your training and you have information on how to contact you right there. You could even take it a step further and have a button right below, like something you want them to go to as quickly as possible, whether it's your LinkedIn or whether you want them to email you. You could add that, but I do just want to highlight how I love that so much. Something else I want to point out when getting to your portfolio, again, love the creativity here. I know Scott said made some comments on, visuals. I love how he made the comment on how he appreciated the 4 different visuals broken up. I like that. I like the thought that was put into this. I really love how you highlight the key features here. So I love how you pull out like the storytelling, animation, feedback pulling. That's so what I mean when hiring managers don't have a lot of time to look through things, right? Or maybe they're not looking at everything we want them to. That's a really good way to draw their attention to some of the key features that you want to draw their attention to. So I absolutely love that. Now, in terms of suggestions on what I would do to make this even more effective, is love everything here. In terms of the write up, I would be cognizant of the amount of wording that's in here. And when I say that, it's similar to the feedback I gave with the last one in the sense that you really want to draw their attention by making it as concise as possible, but still including those most important details. So you almost want to read through it and think, what's the most important thing here? What is the most important thing for the hiring managers that, or the businesses that I'm applying to, the hiring managers that are going to see this? What are they wanting to see? What do I want to showcase in my work? And so I would suggest making it slightly more concise. And also, another strategy you can use is bolding specific words to make those stand out. So, whether it's numbers or metrics or certain keywords that you want them to identify, that's always going to make it a little bit easier to read and understand. I love the amount of detail included here. I think it's so great. I just don't want it to be uh, overlooked or not looked at or read through because, someone is super busy and they're just kind of like looking at your visuals and everything and they're not having time to read through a lot of it. I do also love though how you kind of broke up some big text here. I think you've done some really good work, but I think to get more eyes on it and to make them focus on what's um, most important, I think that would be a really good suggestion there. So really great work. And I think I'm going to pass this over to uh, Sean.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, over to Sean.
Happy to take over. All right. So, um, actually, kind of similar to what Kristen said, one of the things that I love is these little visual icons. Just to expand out from that, I just like in general there are places where Justine just kind of draws your eyes immediately. Because when you're hopping on a website, usually the first thing you're doing is your mind's just taking in all of this information. And so having these visual places for your eye to be just drawn to, like the storytelling, video animation, and then um we go down and we've got even more of these like visual cues. Like, and if I go into the project details, oh, let me try to reshare real quick here. Let's switch to the other one. Let's see. There it goes. Okay. On this screen, like Scott had mentioned, one of the things that just to add to that is just you have this like blue down arrow, like your eye is visually drawn immediately. Like, look here. This is clearly information that that you need to see. And that's one thing that I love about this portfolio is there's so many places where your eye is just naturally being drawn into some important areas. So I love all of that. Some of the things that I might recommend, just smaller things. Down here, this isn't huge, but it did catch my eye immediately with like the view my portfolio, but it looks a little off centered and might work on the padding a little bit. So it's maybe a little bit closer to the home screen. I do like this reach out as well. One thing that whenever I went through though is I saw like check my projects, and because it's in that black bold font, I thought that these were more like section headers. And so when I got here, I almost thought that I was supposed to be continuing down the web page, and then I realized, oh, I reached the bottom. So maybe doing something a little visually distinctive here just to set this apart from this text here. So just you aren't automatically thinking like this is part of the body text or something to help it stand out, because it's a great like kind of like call to action that is listed here. Um, Outside of that, I I think that there's so much that you did well here, Justine. I'm really happy with it. Again, just going back to things I like, I really like this whole noun, adjective, verb idea. I think it's a great way to set yourself apart on your hero banner. Um, there is um, just a lot that I really like in your portfolio. And really, I think that, Scott and Kristen also address a lot of areas that I would address as well in that. But yeah, just polishing up some areas visually in general would be my recommendation. Maybe extending, like I noticed that like we have this kind of like black highlight comes out all the way like an extra space here, but then cuts off at the end of the D. Little just small details like that to help make your portfolio overall just look polished and ready for hiring managers to see. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe that I was the last one reviewing this portfolio, so I will pass it back to you, Sabrina.
Yeah, thank you, Justine, for submitting it. I also really love the colors. You did a great job keeping things cohesive. So thank you for sharing that. In the chat, as Sean was talking, I'm seeing lots of conversation about what website builder are people using. So there are a lot different ones out there. I saw specifically a question about Google Sites. That is a great free option. Of course, with any website builder, they're going to have their pros, they're going to have their cons. Everyone here on our team has actually built their portfolios in Webflow. Lots of options for customization, a steeper learning curve where things are a little bit more customizable, but that is always up to you. We see a lot of our boot campers using Squarespace. I'm so sorry. Um, Using Squarespace. I see lots of people saying Wix or WordPress. Those are also other great options. Robbie, I didn't know if you wanted to tag in too to talk about website builders.
Not a ton. I just really love the questions that are popping up. There are a lot to choose from. But like Sabrina was saying, most of us use Webflow. We were willing to take on the added challenge of learning it. It takes a long time to learn, but you can do just about anything you want. Um, I personally can't speak to the others, but I've seen some awesome portfolios from every single website builder I've ever heard of. So don't get too locked into the website builder itself. Just start building and understand you can make a great portfolio with just about anything out there.
Yeah, completely agree. And I see another one in the chat. Like, is there a benefit of using one over the other? It's really up to you, the time you have to commit to like learning the platform builder or what's going to have you or what's going to have the pieces that you need to build your portfolio. So really just like taking a look at it. For Webflow examples, if you go to the showcase on the Devlin Peck website, a lot of the different portfolios are all built with different platforms. So those are a good place to look to. All right, back into the reviews. So next we have one from Jillian Randall. I'll share her URL. And I'm actually going to start this one because I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about all of them, but we have to share. All right, so here is the portfolio from Jillian. And we can see such a great, strong color to start with. I'm actually going to navigate over to the portfolio page and talk about this one first a bit. So, what I love that Jillian did here is she has such a great variety of projects. We see e learning, micro learning, instructor led training, handouts, and job aids. So we really get this idea of how well rounded she is and what a value that makes her to any team that she's going to join. Like if you need someone who can do an e learning and a VILT or an ILT, Jillian's your go to. She can do it all. She's showing you here that she can. And I really love the consistency that she has. We have this banner here with our title. if we scroll, we know where the next one starts because there's that consistency. We have another banner with the title, and we have like the title for the actual projects. The layout is similar. What I would like to see is it does continue to be the same where we have an image on the left, we have some text on the right, the button underneath the image. But when we get to the handout and job aid, it's a little bit different. And I can understand why she started there because we have the slideshow to see the different things she did. My suggestion would be some of these look like they're from a similar um, project. So, like these Google ones, I would consider maybe trying to do a slideshow in place of the image so that you can keep the layout the same where you have text on one side, either to view these at a bigger size or something, but just keeping that layout the same because you've done a great job even throughout the site with this consistency. So I'd like to see that here too, and give them some options. Because the other thing that's really great about this specific layout is I get to know a little bit of an insight of why you did these projects, but here I don't, right? I can look through it and I can figure out why this is useful, but getting to hear it from you, I think is really powerful. Um, then the other thing that I want to share is that I really just love the way everything is laid out. You put your e-learning at the top with more of your like projects that you really want to click on, but you're still showing everything off that you want to do. So I think it's a really great job. I think it's fantastic. I really love it. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Robbie.
Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina. I am sharing now. There we go. So likewise, I want to echo a lot of what Sabrina mentioned very briefly. I think this bold look is amazing. I think the colors, the fonts, how you pulled the color from your glasses there, Julie. This is great. I think it's awesome. In this huge bold footer, like it's very clear that this is your brand. Like we can't look at this portfolio and forget who it is that we're looking at here. And I think that's a really powerful move that you've done. So when we get over to Sabrina already talked about the portfolio page, so that was great. When we get into the about section, there's this idea of when you have your audience looking at your portfolio, and your audience is the people who are going to hire you. We want to look at the portfolio through their eyes, your website, your entire website, through their eyes, and we want to give them the fewest amount of barriers to understand what you can do to make their lives better. So like your whole portfolio should really be geared towards them and like what they can get from hiring you. And so as I look at this, we have Jillian some really great information here, but I wonder if we can reframe just a little bit of it to focus more on what they can get. Like for example, my work experience encompasses a broad range of industries. However, the through line is education and learning. I wonder instead of that, say like I can create amazing learning for you from my experience with K-12 students to retail customers and higher ed employees, that type of thing, really focusing on that. And then additionally, for your audience to understand what it is that they're going to get from you, when I scroll down here, I get the sense that Jillian and I don't know what your target audience is here, Jillian, but as I'm looking through this, a portfolio that has all of these tech tools and all of these skills, it seems like you're marketing yourself as like sort of like a one-stop shop. Like I will do it all. I'm a freelancer. Hire me to do from start to finish. I will do the whole thing for you. And if that's what you're going for, then I think you've done a great job to showcase all that you're doing. However, if you're trying to get a full-time position, maybe with a particular team, maybe there are like a few of these that you really shine with and really want to highlight. I think what we can do is trim down that list and potentially say, like, I'm familiar with all of these different tools and I've done these skills, but really when you hire me, like, these are the things that I specialize in. These are the things that I'm really amazing at. And like, this is what you should get from me when you hire me. And this is how I can help your company thrive. So it's all about thinking about what your brand is, what your target audience is, and how you can speak directly to them so they can look at your portfolio and say, wow, yes, Jillian is exactly the person we need to fill the roles we have.
Okay, I think it's my turn now. I get to take a look at Jillian's as well. So let's go ahead and do that. I will share my screen. And interestingly, I'm going to kind of expand on a couple of things. Oh, here it comes. Yeah. I am going to expand on a couple of things that Sabrina and Robbie have already mentioned. All right. First, Robbie brought this up, about branding, how you've used these big, bold letters and you've identified it with your name, Jillian Randall, LXD. We can't forget who this belongs to. But not only that, in my mind, you're sending the message about what that brand means about you. And both Sabrina and Robbie both mentioned this bright, vibrant, bold pink color and how it matches with like kind of the color of your glasses, which again is a fantastic added touch. The reason I thought it was so great is because I look at this photo of you, and this photo tells me that this is somebody who is vibrant, positive, energetic, and so now the color scheme that you used matches the vibe that I get from the photo that you chose. So it really all works really so well together because we are branding ourselves with our portfolios, and the images you decide to share of yourself can make a difference, especially in the hero section on the homepage. So that's one thing that I noticed right away. Right away is, I mean, anybody could use this color scheme, but does that really vibe with who they are? Right? It seems intentional that this isn't just like a color scheme that you like, but that it really fits who you are. And so I really, really liked that. Um, Robbie also mentioned something about the footer. One thing that I really noticed about the footer is many times the footer is just like, well, here's the end of the page. I just want people to know they're at the bottom. Maybe I'll include some navigation. You've got your LinkedIn and the email icon. That's not what Jillian decided to do here. Jillian decided to make the footer a designed element on her portfolio page. I will say my footer is very boring and basic because I didn't think to do anything so creative like Jillian did here. Jillian really used the whole page to send that message about her brand. So that was a really clever idea that I really like. You still got the good elements that you need, the LinkedIn and the contact button, and then you've got some navigation. That's great. But some people would have just left it at that, but you included the same branding as you have in your header. So I thought that was a really great touch. Okay. One couple bits of feedback that might be helpful. This font that you chose is like a really, is a good font and I like it. Where I had a little bit of trouble though was where you used sentences. This font naturally is very tight, not just between the letters, but between the words too. These words are very close together that when I went to look at this, I didn't find that I was able to scan it as quickly and easily. I really had to be careful about reading each word because they're so close together. If your website builder will allow you to adjust some word spacing just a little bit, just to separate those words a little bit more, I think that would help. Because again, we mentioned it before. Other people have mentioned it, how scanning isn't very important because people won't spend a lot of time on the website. So that's one thing I would consider doing too. Also on this portfolio page, you got e-learning, micro learning, instructor led training, handouts, and job aids. I might suggest putting like a breadcrumb navigation at the top here so that people who visit this page really know, oh, there's going to be more different categories of projects on this page. And people would then even be able to jump directly to that section. So, because I'm thinking it'd be very easy to, oh, e-learning and I'm doing this. Okay, great. I saw that. I think it might be easy for people to miss. Oh, wait, no, Jillian also can make micro learning. Jillian can also do instructor led training. and handouts, because those are all very versatile skills that you have. We don't want anybody to miss that. All right. And then one final thought, this could be just a personal opinion. I am not a huge fan of giant buttons myself. I think they can be a little bit distracting from what you really want the focus to be on. You want them to find those buttons so they can get to where they need to go. But it's not so bad on the homepage. But these ones here, I'm instantly just drawn to this giant button and I might miss some of this important information that I could read. So again, that could be a personal opinion though. It could be something you want to test with a few different people, see what they think. So that is not something that I think is critical, but just something that I notice because it's a personal preference. So, okay. And I think that's it for Jillian. So Sabrina, if you want to take it away and move on to the next one, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jillian. Again, everyone I see too in the chat is talking about that pink and then just the bold and just really shows your brand. So great job. Thank you for sharing that with us. We do have time to take a live submission. And so I'll share that in the chat. And we have a portfolio from Zach. So, Zach, I hope you're still here. Um, I'll go ahead and start. And then Bootcamp Pros, feel free to jump in. All right. So from Zach, here we go. I like the logo. I think this is a fun design. I appreciate the banner up here to draw people in. As we scroll down, we know about your instructional design work. And similar to some of the feedback that I was giving on Glenn's is, yeah, let us know a little bit more about these. So yeah, we have these hovers, but I'm not sure what this means. And if I can learn a little, like just a blurb about what this project is, it's going to make me want to click things more. The visuals do a good job of pulling people in, but then giving them just that little bit more of like, here's this little snippet. This is why you should click. It's always a great thing to have just to get people in there. You are giving a good variety. So I think it's great that you're also showing video production. I think that's going to be something that can definitely help you stand out as an instructional designer, especially as an e-learning developer. The fact that you can do some of your own video editing and things like that will definitely help you stand out. So I'm going to hand it off to one of the other bootcamp pros if they want to jump in.
Yes, super excited to look at this. I love so many things about this, especially the amount of projects you have. I just think it's so great to see, oh, just a well-rounded use, of, like, showcasing your skills, so I love that. I'm just jumping straight to one of the write-ups, and I noticed here when I was looking through your write-ups, I think something that's so important, when you can, is to really try to show how you justified some of your decisions with theory or design specifically, and so you do a good job here. You mentioned Gagne's 9 events, but I almost want more, like, I want more is how did you use those events, and, like, how is that impacting the learning experience overall? There also might be some opportunity in some of the write-ups. Like, let me go to, I think this one right here. Not like you have to go into a full in-depth write-up for every single thing, but where you can showcase again, like that the theory you used. I love how you had the objectives, the application, all of that. If you could at some point and with some of these, at least connect to how this might be solving some type of problem. Because that's a lot of the times what they are looking for is that you can solve problems with training. And so I think if you can include that, at least in some of the ones that are more applicable, I think that would be really great. But this is a wonderful portfolio, really cool use of skills. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this on.
All right, I'll hop in next. Let me just share my screen here. One thing that I actually really found really interesting was your logo icon. I haven't seen anything like that before. I think it's really interesting, and I think it stands out really well on the background. Um, Whenever we go back to the home screen, um, I like, how you're saying what you're doing right away. You design and develop creative and engaging learning projects using, and then you showcase your skills so that a hiring manager knows right away. A lot of your strengths are going to be within like video production, graphic design, right? So getting back into that idea of like, how do my hiring managers know that I'm the right fit for my job? I do like that you just go like right into it. So hiring manager that needs someone who works in video production, they can look and see, okay, this person could be a good person for me to use for this project or something along those lines. Maybe. As far as one thing that or a few things that I might update, um I'm kind of going to play off of what Kristen said. Like, depending on what you're looking for out in the world, I tend to think personally just about like corporate level ID. So I'm just going to apply this to kind of corporate level ID. Just depends on who you're looking to land a role with, but just from a corporate standpoint, thinking less about like, what to learn and more about like, how are you solving problems for your organizations? And so I don't want to copy too much of what Kristen said because she summed it up really well. But just going into that as well, thinking about which project shows up first inside of this that could reflect that the best, right? Um, to kind of pick essentially like your main idea project and really hone in on how that helps solve that problem for somebody, for an organization, for something like that. Picking something that really showcases whatever skills you want your hiring managers to choose. And so I would just go through and see which one of those you best fits the particular role that you're wanting to do. Um, Outside of that, this is just a note, and I noticed this with a few portfolios. Sadly, it's not. I was hoping to show it with the tabs, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because it has happened a lot of times. Is next to the tab they have what's called the favicon, that little icon that that shows whatever web page you're on. And a lot of them are just having the basic ones. I was hoping to have it on screen right now. I think I hit the wrong share setting. But if you look, if you are on the website, you'll see a little W next to it. I think that's the WordPress logo. But on some pages, it'll be like a little box or something like that. I think just as a good added detail to kind of do a little bit, just Google like if you're using, let's say, Webflow, like Google Webflow, how to change your favicon and just get some information on that just to help with that polish. Again, I don't think that's a major one, but I saw it so many times. I felt like it's something to bring up that to take some time to see if you can get that favicon to be similar to your icon on your webpage. And I'm going to leave it at that and pass it over to someone else because, I think any of us could talk for days about any of these, but then we'd be here for way too long.
Thank you, Sean. Thank all of you for putting your URLs in the chat. Like I said at the beginning, putting yourself out there, sharing your work can be scary, but I appreciate that all of you did that. I'm also loving seeing so much of like community building going on in the chat too, sharing LinkedIn and even offering to give each other feedback on your work. So wonderful. That's why we do these things. We want to build this great community. And so as we end things, I just want to say, if you are looking to build your portfolio, get some more in-depth feedback from the team, we would love to have you in the boot camp. And in the boot camp, you're going to learn how to create standout, industry relevant portfolios with guidance and feedback from us, the boot camp pros. In the boot camp, you get a dedicated boot camp pro, but you can always get feedback from any of us at workshops or anything like that. And we'd love for you to join us in the boot camp. Applications for our last cohort of the year will open tomorrow, but you can sign up on the waitlist form today to save your spot. After this event ends, when it closes out, you will be redirected to the bootcamp website where you can learn more. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Thanks for joining, everybody.